You ever walk into a place and just feel like something's wrong? Not because anything jumps out at you, not because it's loud or chaotic, but because it's too quiet, too still, like the air itself is waiting for something to happen. That's what it felt like the night we broke into the abandoned dark ride on the boardwalk. They used to call it the Tunnel of Terror. It was one of those cheesy haunted house rides you'd go through in a little cart on a track. You know the kind. Cheap jump scares, glowing skeletons, rubber bats dropping from the ceiling. I must have ridden it 100 times as a kid. But they shut it down after a fire broke out in one of the side rooms. No one got hurt, but the whole ride was condemned. Windows boarded up, ride carts dismantled, just left there to rot. That was 5 years ago. Now I'm 21, home from college, and drunk off a few cheap beers with my two best friends, Jonah and Kyle. We were walking the boardwalk, talking about dumb childhood memories when we passed by the old building. Kyle stopped and said, "Bet the back door's still loose." It always was. Jonah grinned. "No way you're going in there." Kyle just smirked. "Watch me." And like the idiots we were, we followed him around the back, where the alley reeked of salt water and trash and something vaguely like mildew. Sure enough, one of the boards was already pried open. Kyle slipped in first, then Jonah. I hesitated for half a second before ducking in after them. It was like walking into a mouth. The air was warm and moist and smelled like burnt foam and moldy carpet. We turned on our phone flashlights and crept forward, trying not to trip over old wires and shattered props. "Yo," Kyle said, aiming his light at a collapsed animatronic clown. I remember that guy. Used to scream, "Get out," when your cart rolled past. "Yeah," I said. "Now it's just dead weight." We laughed, just a little. But the sound didn't travel far. They got swallowed up by the walls. We kept moving until we reached the main ride tunnel. It curved left into darkness, with black paint still peeling off the walls and fake cobwebs that had turned into real ones. That's when the temperature changed. It got cold. I don't mean slightly chilly. I mean, drop your breath cold. Kyle said, "Okay, that's not normal." Jonah nodded. "My flashlight's flickering. Anyone else's?" Mine was fine. At least it was. Until it wasn't. A low whine came from somewhere deep inside the tunnel. We all froze. "Wind?" I offered, even though I didn't believe it. Jonah stepped back. "Okay, seriously, let's bounce." Kyle laughed nervously. "What, scared of some old robot?" "Shut up, man. This place gives me the creeps." We were about to turn around when we heard it. Something scraping across the floor. It wasn't quick. It was slow. Deliberate. Metal on concrete. Not near us, but not far either. My chest tightened. My flashlight flicked once, then twice, then stayed on, but dimmer. Jonah whispered, "What the hell was that?" We didn't move. None of us breathed. Then, behind us, another scrape. Closer. I whipped around. Light scanned broken tombstones and a half-melted demon head. Nothing moved. I said, "We're not alone." Kyle muttered, "We're probably just hearing rats, man." Jonah looked at him, dead serious. "What kind of rat drags metal?" No answer. Then Kyle did something stupid. He walked forward, into the tunnel. "Just gonna check it out," he said over his shoulder. "Dude, stop," I said. "This ain't funny." But he didn't stop. We watched his light bob down the corridor. Then, it froze. His light just stopped moving. We heard him whisper something, but we couldn't make it out. Then his light dropped to the ground with a clack. We ran. Didn't even try to be quiet. Just full-on sprinted down the tunnel after him. His phone was lying in the middle of the track, but no Kyle. "Dude!" Jonah shouted. "Kyle?" We spun our lights in every direction. No sign of him. Then something flickered ahead. Not a phone light. Red light. A low, humming glow appeared at the far end of the tunnel. like something powering up. A voice whispered, low and glitchy from nowhere. Right again. Jonah screamed. I grabbed his arm and yanked him back toward the exit. We tripped over wires, smashed into walls. The tunnel behind us started to pulse with light, like an old ride turning itself back on. We burst through the broken wall and into the alley, fell hard, scraped our hands and knees, didn't care. No Kyle. We called the cops. They showed up, searched the ride, the alley, the whole damn boardwalk. Nothing. No Kyle. But later that week, his phone was found, wedged in the gears of the old ride cart track. Still recording. The last frame of video was him standing in front of the red light, smiling, like he'd just stepped onto the ride. You know how most people say they feel safer in their hometown? Like they know it inside and out? Yeah, that used to be me. I grew up in this little beach town, one of those places that comes alive in the summer with tourists, music, and the smell of fried dough on the boardwalk. But once Labor Day hits, the place turns into a ghost town. The rides shut down, the food stalls close, and the only thing left is the sea breeze and the creak of the old wooden planks. That's when I loved it most. Cold, quiet, and mine. Back then, I was 17. I ran track at school and used to do evening jogs along the boardwalk after dinner. Not just for training, it was how I cleared my head. That night started off like all the others. Hoodie on, earbuds in, just me and the ocean air. It was about 9 p.m., maybe later. There were barely any lights on, just a few dim ones lining the path, and the occasional flicker from a soda machine still plugged in. I ran past the fishing pier. It's this long wooden extension that stretches out into the water. It's been there forever. Used to be a hot spot back in the day, but now it just sits there, half rotted and swaying in the wind. That's when I saw him, just standing at the edge of the pier, motionless, like part of the scenery. At first, I didn't think much of it. Figured it was just some old guy fishing or enjoying the breeze. But something about the way he stood, his posture, completely still. Arms to his sides, head tilted slightly forward, like he was waiting for something. I kept jogging, trying not to let it get to me. Told myself it was nothing. A few minutes later, I turned around to head back home, passing the pier again. That's when I noticed something off. He was gone. But there was movement underneath. I slowed down. There's this gap between the boardwalk planks where you can sometimes catch a glimpse of the sand or trash beneath, depending on the light. I knelt down, squinting through one of the wider cracks. At first I couldn't see anything, just darkness and the sound of waves crashing. But then I saw fingers. Pale, slow-moving fingers gripping the underside of the pier. Not like someone climbing. No, they weren't trying to get out. They were just moving along, almost like they were crawling. I stood up so fast I nearly lost my balance. My heart was pounding. I didn't know what the hell I just saw, but I wasn't sticking around to find out. I sprinted all the way back home. Didn't stop until I was on my front porch, hands on my knees, gasping for breath like I just ran a 100-meter dash. I told my dad about it. He just laughed. Said maybe it was a crab or a raccoon or some homeless guy living under there. I wanted to believe him, I really did. But something in my gut said otherwise. The next morning, I rode my bike back to the pier, just to check. It was broad daylight, sunny, warm. I felt stupid even being nervous. I climbed down to the sand and stood beneath the pier. That's when I saw them. Drag marks, long, uneven trails in the sand, like someone had pulled themselves from one end to the other with their bare hands. No footprints, just those strange, uneven lines that led into the darkest part beneath the pier, where even the sunlight couldn't reach. And just a few feet from the edge, I found something else. A broken wristwatch. Old, rusted, caked with sand. It wasn't mine. But I swear, I'd seen one just like it before. My stomach dropped. A week earlier, there'd been a missing persons flyer posted near the arcade. Some guy in his 40s who disappeared while out fishing at night. Guess where they said he was last seen? That pier. I left and never looked back. I'm not superstitious. Like, I roll my eyes when people talk about Mercury retrograde or bad energy. I've always been more of a logic guy. Things happen for a reason. Or, at least, that's what I believed. Until that night at the Boardwalk arcade. There's this old place down by the far end of our beach town called Lucky Jack's. The sign's half burnt out, and the carpet hasn't been replaced since probably the 80s. Most of the games are busted or rigged, but it has a weird charm. Locals go there to kill time. Kids hang out. Tourists still dump tokens into the machines, like they're gonna hit a jackpot. But there's this one game in the very back that always creeped me out. A dusty old coin pusher. You know the kind. You drop a coin in, and a metal arm pushes coins forward hoping to knock others off the edge. Usually, you win a couple tickets, maybe a cheap plastic whistle. But this machine, it never gave out prizes. Ever. The locals even had a nickname for it. The Wisher. Because supposedly, if you played it alone at midnight and made a wish, it would give you something back. But it wouldn't be what you wanted. I thought it was all just Boardwalk lore, the kind of story older kids tell to scare you away from the weird machine. I didn't think much of it, until the night I decided to play it. It was a random Wednesday in August. The beach crowd had thinned out. I just had a fight with my girlfriend, stormed out, and walked the length of the boardwalk without really thinking. I ended up at Lucky Jack's just before midnight. To my surprise, the door was still open. The lights inside were dimmer than usual. No music, no other customers. Not even the teenage guy who usually ran the counter. The whole place just felt off. But I walked in anyway, like I was being pulled. I passed the claw machines, the pinball tables, the skee ball lanes, until I reached the back corner. There it was, the Wisher. It looked like it hadn't been cleaned in years. Dust-covered glass, a flickering green light in the corner. The push arm moved slowly, back and forth, like it was breathing. Without thinking, I reached into my pocket and pulled out a quarter. I stood there, staring at the machine. "I wish I never met her," I muttered. The coin dropped. It clinked against the metal tray and slid into the machine. The arm pushed forward. Nothing fell, but something clicked. The coin tray opened, and something slid out. I looked down. It wasn't a ticket. It was a photo. A Polaroid. Crisp and clean. I picked it up, confused. It was a picture of me. From that night. Standing on the boardwalk, wearing the same hoodie. Taken from behind. I spun around instantly. No one was there. I felt this ice-cold rush go through my chest. I looked down at the photo again. And then another coin dropped out of the machine. Clink. Another photo. This one was of my apartment door, taken from the outside. Same doormat. Same faint crack in the paint. Same damn night. I dropped the photo, stepped back. "What the hell?" I whispered. The machine lit up again, this time brighter. The word "again" flashed on the little screen. I didn't move. The tray slid open once more. Another coin. I shouldn't have done it, but I picked it up. And I swear, the second my fingers touched it, I heard something behind the glass, like breathing. Shallow, wet, too close. I backed away fast, nearly tripped over the soda machine behind me. Then the lights in the arcade started to go out, one by one. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Row after row, until only the back corner, the Wisher, was lit. I ran, burst through the front doors, nearly twisting my ankle on the step. I didn't stop until I was back home, heart hammering in my chest. I double-locked the door, pulled the blinds. Sat on the floor in the dark, trying to slow my breathing. That's when I noticed something. On my doormat, through the peephole, a Polaroid, just sitting there. I opened the door with a trembling hand, picked it up. It was her. My ex. Lying in bed, eyes wide open, taken from the ceiling. The angle. It looked like it was taken from inside her apartment. I called her immediately. She didn't answer. I don't know what happened to her. I really don't. The next day, she was gone. Phone disconnected. Apartment empty. No sign she ever even lived there. The cops said she moved out. Transferred jobs. Cleaned everything out. But I know better. I know what I saw. And I know what I wished for. I never touched a coin pusher again. And if you ever see a machine on the boardwalk with a flickering green light and no tickets, walk away. Some wishes don't stay inside the machine. If you enjoyed these stories, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Your support matters a lot.